What's going on, everybody? I'm 21 years old. I've made millions of dollars online, and I've made even more millions of dollars for other people. Right? I turned 22 in February. I've done about $125 million in sales for a $44 billion company before the age of 20, and for a $16 billion company, again, before the age of 20. I was the youngest person in those specific corporate jobs in Australia. I was hiring, training, and managing the sales personnel for those corporations. I was able to take that skill of sales and implement it online. I built my first 7-figure business a couple of years ago called TrueCoin Online. And after I found out that I had a knack for building and scaling businesses and I was truly passionate about it, I closed down everything. So I don't have a course, I don't have a coaching program, I don't have a mentorship, I don't have some sort of community that you can buy into. Now I scale businesses for a living, right? A recent one was $8 million. Another recent one was $550,000 in only 65 days. And another one, which was just a couple weeks ago, we took him from zero everything to $47,000 in just 7 days. Now, I'm saying all this so you can fucking trust me. My guarantee to you watching this, whether you are before 20, in your 20s or in your 30s, etc., I want to teach you things that would have made me successful a hell of a lot fucking quicker. Right? If you implement and take on the things I'm going to be telling you in this video, you will be successful a lot fucking quicker than I was. Right? For reference, all those things that I just told you, all those feats that I just told you, it took me 7 years, right? 7 long years. And I understand a lot of you guys either don't want to wait 7 years or, you've just kind of started, right? You're just kind of getting into the world, or maybe you haven't. Right? Maybe you've been in this world for a long time. You just want some knowledge from someone that's maybe where you want to be, right? So let's break it down and let's get into it. First thing that I truly wish I knew before getting into the online space, trying to start a hustle, or even starting my first, $1 million business, is lack of urgency is the killer of dreams, right? I was ignorant enough to think that tomorrow was guaranteed. Right? I would look on the news and on Facebook and wherever you get your news from, and I would see every single day people dying, getting shot, getting ran over, get a tree fall on someone. I was seeing this every single day, but yet I was still putting off the things that I knew that I needed to do. Then we wonder why people are having faster, more exceptional growth than us. It's because of a lack of urgency, and it cannot be as plain as day as that. I'm not going to touch on these dot points too long because at the end of the day, I've got nothing to sell you. So I don't need to fuck around like most people, right? Lack of urgency. You aren't trying hard enough, or you're not trying fast enough, or you're not trying hard enough and fast enough. Yesterday already happened. Tomorrow is not promised. Do your shit now. What you think you could do tomorrow, I guarantee you could get in today, right? Lack of time is a myth. Because if I was able to build things, things that you want to build in the same amount of time that you were, playing soccer or football while working a 9-to-5 job, I'm sure time isn't really a problem. Or even the most rich or talented people in the world, again, they've built things 100 billion, gazillion, fucking trillion times bigger than me. And yet I'm still so far behind because, again, I spent a lot of years with the lack of urgency. Okay, so stop fucking around and get on your horse. The second thing that I personally struggled with, which I think will help a lot of you guys, is just I had the lack of clarity. And I don't think this is talked about enough. And because it wasn't talked about, I was kind of alienized, right? Where I felt I was so different to the point where, maybe I was a failure. Maybe I just wasn't cut out for this stuff, right? And you get that imposter syndrome, right? But if we can get rid of this, we'll get rid of all these little demons in your head, right? So lack of clarity. How do we get past that? I like to think of it, and I took knowledge from people that write novels and books, right? Writer's block is common, and it's not alienized. It is talked about, and it's very, 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 very common with people that write books or a large number of books, right? So because there wasn't any information on how the fuck do I start thinking properly again, right? I just started to use their terms and conditions when it comes to writing their books. And what they do in writer's block is they first acknowledge that they have writer's block, right? You have to acknowledge it, otherwise you'll never overcome it, right? If you have lack of clarity and you cannot think, or your creativity is not splurging out like it normally is, you have writer's block. So accept that. The next step is you need to stop just sitting there at your desk or on your bed or wherever you like to work, not doing anything. Right? Because there is one thing worse than fucking off and not working. And it's fucking off to your desk and not working, right? Because then you start to think, okay, I'm working 12 hours a day, but nothing's getting done. What am I doing wrong? Well, no, you're only working about an hour and a half out of those 12 hours. The other hours just kind of sitting there with your dick in your hand, not knowing what to do, right? And I completely understand that. So stop, right? And this is something that was extremely hard for me to understand. I'll be completely honest, right? Because I thought as someone that wanted to be successful online, you need to be go, grind all of the time. But I actually didn't have that spark of growth until I did what I'm about to tell you. I went for more walks, right? There are periods and seasons of trying to be successful. And the first season is the hardest because it's the grindiest. But it gives you bad habits, right? And to be completely honest with you, I'm probably a little bit hypocritical because I still do this. But I know that this is super detrimental to the growth that I'm having. Right? I still sit there at my desk literally not doing anything because of that bad habit that I gained at the start. But what got you to where you are isn't going to get you to where you want to go. Right? And if I get over this today, I would be a lot more successful a lot quicker, but I can recognize it. The next thing, which I think a lot of you guys might be going through, and you go throughout this at all phases, and the reason that it's on here now is because I was actually going through it the other week, and it's FOMO. Right? Fear of missing out. And it's basically the attraction to objects. A lot of us start not because we want to retire, a parent, whatever. We start because we just don't want to be broke. Right? That's why we truly want to start. But then we go online and see everyone else in our space flexing cars and watches and crazy houses and crazy shit. And then you start to want that. That takes over the actual thing that you want. You just want freedom. But that objection, those cars just swallows that. And then you forget about why you were really doing this. And you've just got this minimalistic, materialistic, thing that you're looking for. But I want to just clear this up right now so you don't continue to get into this cycle. Most of the people that you see driving these cars and having these watches and showing off the rich lifestyle are actually broke. And I'm not just saying this as like a guess or as like a maybe they are. Or I literally know, and in the grapevine, you got to realize the internet is a very small place. In the grapevine, a lot of the guys that you see, especially blowing up on YouTube right now, are extremely broke. Or, it comes to tax time and they're like, oh shit, that's a big tax bill. Well, guess what? You can't just go buy a bunch of cars and watches and expect to not owe any money, right? So I just want to get that out of the way. What true wealth is. Okay, and this is something that I kind of forgot because again, like you, I was on YouTube and I was just seeing all these 17, 18, 19-year-old kids getting new Lambos and Ferraris. I'm like, I want a Porsche 911, right? But then, and I went through this phase for a couple of weeks. I was this close to pulling the trigger, right? This close. I'm like, do I want to look rich? Or do I want to be rich? And to me, when you really say it out loud, wanting to be rich completely overlaps wanting to look rich, right? You see this house, I'll be transparent, took a lot of years, a lot of failed businesses. I don't own a car. I don't own any car, by the way, any car. I don't own a single car. Why? Because until this point of the house, I was eating the same food every day. I was working multiple jobs. This was before everything, multiple jobs. I was eating tuna toasties every single day. I didn't go out. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. Didn't do any drugs. I didn't drive because I didn't want to pay for insurance. I've never, ever been in debt before that. No bad debt. I have never been on a phone plan. I have never, continued to buy data or credit. I had the oldest phone. Like, I got this place and I have the wealth or the money because I wasn't stupid, right? But now that I started to make a lot of money and now that I've got a large influx of money coming in, I'm like, fuck it, let's just fucking do it. But I'm like, why? I could just go and get $1 million property that's going to grow maybe 100 grand or 50 grand. Let's say even 50 grand in the next year, even though that's pretty low. $1 million property goes to $1,050,000. I just basically made a $50,000 worth of equity that I can then just put into another fucking, let's say, a $500,000 home, right? A $400,000 home with that $50,000 equity. Now in a year and a half, 2 years, I've just got, you know, a $2 million extra portfolio, right? Through just doing that cycle instead of buying a depreciating asset, which was the car. So just ask yourself, do you want to be rich or do you want to look rich? The next thing is, which I'm only going to touch on this for a little bit, is their step 20 is not your step 1. And that's the same as their chapter 20 is not your chapter 1, right? Again, looking at people and seeing what they are doing or how they are doing it is the reason why you are broke, because they are currently doing what they need to be doing at that level, not doing what needed to be done at the start, right? Now, this is what I tell a lot of business owners, right? For example, I helped a guy recently go from $0 to $47,000 in 7 days, like 0 customers, 0 everything, right? And he was like, Nathaniel, I want to build out this crazy funnel with this landing page, VSL, and this video, because he was in, you know, the trading industry. He's like, I want to be like TGR, how he's got a website and everything. You know, TGR, if you don't know, is the biggest trader in the world. Millions of dollars every single month, right? And he hadn't even got his first sale yet. And he was already trying to copy someone else. I'm like, dude, here's a couple of reasons why it's not working or why it wouldn't work. A funnel, what he wanted, is meant to filter leads. Okay, that's all it does. A landing page doesn't act as, okay, you get more leads. It acts, you get more leads of the quality leads, but you get less leads in general, which is a perfect example of their step 20 is not your step 1. I just want you to understand that before looking at people or even looking at me and thinking, okay, I want to be like that or do that, whatever, when I've been doing this for 7 years, and I've continued to say that this whole video. I've been doing this for 7 years. My first YouTube video, I'll pop a screenshot here, was 5 years ago, right? Like, I don't say this lightly. You're not gonna get rich quick, please. Let's just get that on the fucking table. Now, the next thing is something that I wish I would have known is, how do I build a business from $0 to $50,000 a month? And it is very simple, right? The first thing, I want you to know is, my step 20 is not your step 1, right? Logistically and statistically, it literally takes on average people like a couple years to start doing 50K a month on their first ever business. I know people today that have been doing this for about 6 years and they're only doing about $30,000 a month. Hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, etc., but only making about 30,000. I'm able to do it so quickly is because I've done it over and over and over again, right? It's like, let's say you get a maze. You know those mazes that you'd get in newspapers, right? You gotta go from A to B. The first ever time you do it, you don't know where you're going. But after the first time, you try it again the second time, you kind of know what you're doing. And then the third time you do it, you know, okay, I need to go right, then down, then left, then down, then right, then down. And then the fourth, fifth, and it only gets better for you. You remember more, you remember what you need, etc. Right? And I want you to understand, building a business is universal. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, which is why I scaled a marketing agency to $8 million a month. And then I went over to real estate and did, you know, $550,000 in 65 days, right? And then I went into day trading, $0 to $47,000. Then I went into fitness, extra $250,000 in I think maybe 2 months. Right? Because everything is the same, which just understand that, right? So that's just, again, another bonus tip. If you start a business and you have success, then you can basically just resemble that into everything else that you do and you will have success in everything else. I want you to understand that getting to millionaire status is extremely hard, but not knowing if you're going to be able to pay rent, or not knowing if you're going to be able to buy your kids or your partner or yourself or your mother presents for Christmas this year or next year is a lot harder. You can do this. There is not a doubt in my fucking mind that you cannot do this. If I can do this shit, so can you. Anyway, I'm gonna leave the video there. I hope you did learn something. I hope you enjoyed. Cheers to you. Right, cheers to your major success. Let me know in the comments if you've got any questions. I'll catch these guys on the next video. Cheers. I'll talk to you soon. Leave a comment if you have a question or anything along those lines, and I'll see you on the next one.